This is the one you've been waiting for, so we're going to keep this intro super simple. Seth and I sat down with Lars Ulrich of Metallica and master distiller Rob Dietrich to talk everything Blackened Whiskey. We're here to learn a little bit, drink a little bit, and definitely rock the hell out. So grab a glass and let's enjoy. Welcome back to the Infusory for another episode of the Cartel Hour. This is going to be a fun one, Seth. Yes. My name is Cameron Stevens.
My name is Seth.
There we go. And we are joined by Metallica. We've got Lars Ulrich, and we have Rob Dietrich for Blackened Whiskey. I am so excited about this.
This is a fun one, you guys. I can't explain. I mean, we're sitting with two of the most influential people in both whiskey and music. And so, for those of you that don't know, Rob, for example, has worked in the industry for quite a while now, beginning with most notably Stranahan's, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a brand that got me into whiskey, actually, one of my first bottles I ever bought.
That's awesome.
Now you've taken up the mantle. You've joined with Lars and the group, and you guys are now putting together a really amazing product. And I think one of the starting questions for you guys is, Blackened 100. It's this new gift set. We've got a box right here. It's got
It was so cool. We did a whole box opening and took a look at everything inside. Yeah. It really, for everyone listening, there is a lot that goes into it. It's more than just the whiskey.
Check out our box opening video on our Instagram page at Cartel Hour, and you can see what we did there. Blackened 100. This is a limited edition bottle, correct?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just like all of our batches, they are limited to that batch number. This one was a pretty exciting kind of a collaboration to be able to put together. There was a lot of elements, a lot of great people working on this project to really pull it off, and of course there's the whiskey and the music together all in the same box.
Yes.
And so I think we may as well jump straight out into it and say, hey, nice to see you guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks for having Rob. And this is great, so much fun. Guys got an incredible setup here. We just talked
Thank you.
in the pre-game there. And you guys have an incredible setup there. I have my Blackened here, but it's not displayed quite as strategically as both of yours, but it is here. I may have to up my game on the glass. This is not what did you say, double-sided? You guys went all technical there for a second. But I'm here to hopefully bring a little bit of attitude. But what I would say is, obviously, the 100 refers to the playlists. And so when we started Blackened, coming up on 2 years ago, the first batch was entitled 81, which correlates to the year that Metallica started, 1981, not 1881, if anybody thought that. And so I guess we are 19 playlists in, and each one of the band members have picked a playlist. But for batch 100, drum roll please, Rob picked the playlists. So all the music that's accompanying this particular batch, and the vinyl back there behind you is basically Rob's ultimate Metallica playlist. So we're very honored to have Rob pick. He's the first, like I said, non-Metallica member that's picked. Okay. And there's Dave Pickerell gracing one side of the vinyl. And Rob, maybe do you want to explain a little bit about just the songs that you picked and
definitely
got to it?
The hard part was actually narrowing it down to 12 songs. That was definitely the hard part. I had so much fun going down the Metallica rabbit hole and just chewing up and digging through all the the different eras of music that you guys have put out, and it was so much fun. I wanted to represent all the eras, and I think what was most important, I had this idea that we're using music to sonically enhance the whiskey. So it's Metallica music that is enhancing the whiskey. It's part of the whiskey. So it was really important for me to pick live songs that had huge audience interactions, this energy of the fans, so now it's not only a collaboration between, you know, the bands and the whiskey and the distiller. It's the fans. Now you've got the voices of the fans that are helping to change the base structure of the whiskey. So it was pretty extraordinary just to go down and find, of course, songs that were important to me from when I was growing up, songs that I listened to when I was in the Army, as well as, and there's some songs I had to, it was hard not to add. I really wanted some in there but you know, it was pretty extraordinary.
That's fantastic.
What an experience.
Well, so I do have to ask, right? Because on one hand, you've got this amazing story element to the fact that you're handpicking these playlists and you're playing it right directly into the whiskey. And I love this additional layer of having the fans be a part of it too. But my understanding is that there is some sort of scientific element to this. Can you talk a little bit about how the process affects the whiskey itself?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is what's exciting is, you know, Dave, you know, working with Lars and with everyone, you know, with the band to really kind of collaborate and come up with this idea and design this thing. And part of it is, you know, Lars, you guys know music. Dave knew whiskey, you know, and so coming together with those things, and learning, you know, like, okay, if we play it at a lower frequency, it's creating this vibration in the barrel, and the whiskey's moving in and out of the wood at a much more rapid pace. And what was cool about that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as you guys know, I mean, Dave was Dave Pickerell, obviously, rest in peace, who was our co-founder and who was our master distiller. Yes, let's raise a toast to Dave. And so, you know, he was a mad genius, as you guys know. Most aficionados know his story from, you know, Maker's Mark up to Whistle Pig and so on. But you know, when we were looking for a collaborator, a partner in crime to do this, and we wanted somebody with a lot of credibility, obviously, in your guys' world, but also somebody that we felt that we could connect to, when he came to us with this mad idea of kind of blasting Metallica music into the Cask, and went on this whole spiel about, you know, molecules and science. And I mean, it was, you know, we can follow those conversations quite far, but the whole thing was so cool and so sort of positively perverse, and felt like such a great story to kind of throw in there. And we felt like Rob is saying, that, you know, in 38 years of Metallica has always been about interacting with the fans in the right way, and to give the fans a way to sort of be a part of this. So the idea of blasting the songs into the casks, and then having the playlists available for the fans to view or download online or whatever, and to be able to sit there and go, I'm drinking batch 86, 88 or whatever, and this is James's playlist, and, you know, right now we're listening to the same songs that the beverage was listening to 6 months or a year earlier, whatever. We thought would just be a way. I mean, to me, you know, why are we doing this to begin with? We're doing this because we want to connect to the fans. We play music. We want to connect, you know, to the fans musically. We share beverages to connect to the fans in other ways. And this felt like such a great and very unusual way to give another element of connection to the fans, to the aficionados, and to the whiskey lovers out there. So it's been fun, and like we sort of do a little bit of nudge nudge, wink wink, but does it work? Absolutely. And is there an element of it that is scientific? Absolutely. And we think it's great that the fans can sit and listen to the same music that the beverage was listening to, you know, a little while before. And like I said before, we picked all the playlists. Each band member picks a playlist, and then Rob came in and did number 100, which we're super proud of. And
excellent.
So far so good.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think one of the cool elements is that you might have even been, if you're old enough, you were at those concerts, you were at those live recordings, and your voice very well may be projecting into the whiskey, right?
Yeah.
And if you listen to the live albums that you were attending, you know, that's pretty freaking cool, I gotta say. Just to move out of the Dave Pickerell and into the Rob era of this brand and this whiskey, Dave started it, and then you've joined in, obviously, since his passing, of course. How has it changed? What was he doing, and what are you doing? And what sort of difference is there between start and now?
Yeah, what's the handoff?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the first and foremost, I really feel that, this is something that Dave created, and that, I feel it's important to, continue to honor that legacy, to maintain the quality, the consistency of the whiskey, the way he had envisioned it. And also at the same time, everything does change a little bit, so there's
your own touch, your touch.
Right, exactly. So there's always going to be, the approach that I come from will be different than the way Dave will approach it. And we're bringing our own passion, our own skill sets. And also, we've got other expressions that we're working on for the future.
Oh, great.
So that's what's always exciting, is that, Blackened is the backbone of what we do. This is the whiskey that's the backbone. It's Dave's legacy. I kind of consider myself a steward of what he put together and what he worked with, originally collaborating with the band. And but then there's elements to just take it to that next level, and also these new expressions to work, all these little ideas. And what's great with working with Lars and with the band is that you guys are artists, so for me, they're kind of giving me some free rein to, like, okay, what kind of crackpot schemes do you have floating around in there? And I'm pulling stuff out of the the treasure chest in my brain, trying to, it's like, okay, I got some ideas here. So I think that's what's great. It's pretty extraordinary to be able to have that kind of freedom to move, and really and just use the imagination and completely throw the box aside.
And let me just add that I think it's also important that, obviously, when we started this venture coming up on 3 years ago, it was very important for us to have an authentic partner, an authentic collaborator. And obviously, when we met Dave and entered into Dave's world and started understanding the credibility that he carried with him and so on, obviously those were incredibly big shoes to fill. But it was very important for us that our collaborator was somebody that the Metallica fans and the whiskey fans really feel that they could connect with. And so when, Dave's untimely passing, when it was time to find somebody to step into his shoes, it was very important that there was that collaborator would have authenticity and credibility, which is what Rob brings, obviously, to the table, and somebody that the fans felt that they could connect to, and who was out there, just like the band members do the meet and greets, and we're out there, hanging with everybody and doing our thing, that Rob could be out there and do that in an authentic, no bullshit, way, that, with the same kind of enthusiasm and spirit that Dave brought to Blackened. And Dave Pickerell was a godsend, but so is Rob Dietrich, and we're so proud and psyched to have you with us.
Well, I'd love to, if you'd be willing to share, I'd love to know both of those stories. I mean, I'd love to know what it looked like when you first crossed paths with Dave, and then maybe what that first meeting with Rob looks like. What's the behind the scenes there?
Well, so I guess 4 years, probably around the time when the last record came out. So we're talking 16, Hardwired, Self-Destruct. Obviously, a bunch of our peers been getting into beverages for quite some time, and we definitely wanted to get into beverages, but we didn't want it to be just, here we are jumping on the same bandwagon that, I don't want to be disrespectful and name names, but we don't want to jump on a bandwagon and kind of just put a Metallica logo on something that already existed, or have some generic partnership. Everything that we do with Metallica, we want to be able to look our fans in the eye and say, this is an extension of who we are and what we do and what we believe in. And so we started a company called Sweet Amber and hired a couple of incredible people with incredible pedigrees in the liquor business. And we sat down and told them, we want credibility, authenticity, and we want to find somebody and partner with somebody who's got a kind of a more artistic approach and somebody that the Metallica fans and we can relate to. And then we were introduced to Dave. And when I first met Dave, I would say within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, somewhere around there, I just felt this kinship. I presume both of you guys knew Dave.
We did not know Dave.
Okay,
no.
so okay. All right, so
although
Dave,
I drank
Dave,
a lot of his stuff. Drank a lot of his stuff. I've partaken.
Dave was the kind of guy that anybody who's met him would attest to. That the minute you were in his company, you just felt completely at ease. You felt like you were talking to somebody who was just, creative, curious, interested, but completely on the level. There was no snobbery. There was no, how cool I am and look at my history and I've done all these great things. It was just, he oozed life and living and experiencing. And there was just so many things that we instantly, felt that as Metallica and his story really connected. And so when I met him personally for the first time, I was just, it felt like a long lost brother, basically. And he was here in San Francisco and he came over and we did some taste tests here downstairs, and I brought some friends over and he did some presentations and we did some blind taste tests. And I mean, it just, he was like a brother, and so what are we talking? A year and a half. So I guess he passed in early November 18?
Yeah, November 1st, 2018.
Yeah.
So it was about a year and a half into that venture. And then obviously the shock of it and the disbelief. And then what are we going to do? And obviously the right thing to do also to honor Dave's honor Dave's spirit and honor Dave's memory would be to keep going on. Obviously, to pack it in would just seem completely against, like I said, his attitude. So again, we went looking for somebody with. Obviously, we're not going to just find a copy of Dave Pickerell, but we wanted to find somebody who encompassed the same kind of attitude and spirit and authenticity. And then Stranahan's and Rob Dietrich's whole story came on the radar, and then we met, and now we're sitting here chatting to you guys, and we have an incredible partnership. And I think, like we talked about, Rob has that right balance of obviously being true to the history and true to Dave's the spirit and to his kind of battle cry, but at the same time, really finding his own voice in this, and the fans and the aficionados out there are really connecting to him, and we couldn't be prouder to have him be a part of our team.
Awesome. That's amazing.
It's a crazy story.
So, well, we've been
pretty crazy. Yeah. Imagine just a bunch of like rock and roll dudes trying to figure it all out. And we meet, this whiskey guru. And a year and a half later, his untimely passing. I mean, it was so surreal. And obviously on a personal level, we were completely just bewildered and saddened and devastated. And then after a while, then you got to kind of pick it back up. And we're just trying to figure out what the right thing to do was. And obviously we've got a couple of great members on our Sweet Amber team that helped kind of keep the spirits up. And then Rob showed up, and here we are again, back for round two.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think
round two.
I think the evidence is what's in the glass and what we're drinking.
Yeah,
and
I'd love to go over that.
We've got batch 100 in our glasses, and we've clearly put a dent in this bottle.
Yeah, a lot of times we try to drink things
not today,
fresh,
but
but we have had the pleasure of being able to break into this a little bit. And
it's an incredible, for a whiskey that hits the market, and it does a number of things. It blends, it cask finishes. And those are two of mainly three things that people look for. They look for a good age, a good mash bill or blend, and they look for a good finish if they're into the finish thing.
Right.
And this does two of those things, but in a very sort of interesting and unique way. And now, Rob, you've got this you've got this whiskey project and you got this brand that you're now involved with that is so radically different from what you did before. I'm tasting rye, I'm tasting bourbon, I'm tasting Black Brandy cask finish, right? I mean,
yeah.
Most people don't even put, where the brandy is from, let alone the fact that it's a Black Brandy cask. Break it down for us, Rob. What's in the glass here? Batch 100. Right. Break it down.
Yeah, this is exciting. We are, it's an average of 8-year-old whiskey that's aged in white American oaks. You've got Tennessee whiskey in there. You've got Kentucky bourbon. You've got Indiana bourbon, Indiana rye. You've got Canadian rye in there. Of course, a lot of these were wow. relationships that Dave had garnered through the years and was able to cherry pick, the best whiskeys out there and be able to put them all together into a blend. And really that's a science in itself. That's an art. And I feel like, where I kind of cut my teeth with blending whiskey was, with Stranahan's, I would take, the Snowflake, and I would take whiskey that I had already aged in white American oak, and I would cask finish it in a variety of different used barrels and blend those together to create a unique flavor. That's exactly what Dave was doing by hand selecting all these incredible whiskeys that can stand, independently on their own. But then putting them all together to create something incredible, then cask finishing it in the Black Brandy barrels. And honestly, for most people, they can just say, okay, we can stop right there. Incredible whiskey, let's put it in a bottle. But he's going to take it to the next level, say, okay, let's do black noise, sonic enhancement to this whiskey, and see if this thing even works. This was really just like an idea that he came up with. Literally,
had anyone done anything like that before? Was there any record of anyone?
Well, people have played music to whiskey. People have played music to wine. That's not unusual.
People play music on whiskey.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's so it really is. It's what the difference was how we're playing the music to the whiskey. That's where we work with the sound company that creates the incredible sound that Metallica carries with them on the road. That's just that
thump, that bump.
Oh, I know.
In front of a speaker, and you just feel your wham. That's what's going on inside the barrel. It's moving that whiskey in and out of the wood, and it actually does work. This is something that's cool. Is that Dave had a barrel that he had done the black noise sonic enhancement to, and then a barrel that he did not apply.
I was just going to ask.
Then he took the samples from both those barrels, sent them off to the lab, and that was. I guess, I wasn't there to see the reaction, but from what I hear, his reaction was pretty ecstatic, because he got it back, and you're looking for 9 different flavor profiles in a barrel. So there's 9 different markers in a barrel. You're looking for vanillins, your lignans in there, all these different elements of the wood that add flavor to the whiskey. Every single one of those was elevated on the sonic enhanced barrel. So the science behind it works. It's not just it's an incredible idea, but it's also one that works, and that's what's cool about it.
Well, I think the speaker thing I'm not going to name names, but fun anecdote. I went to another distillery. I've been to over 100, and one of the ones I went to did play music, but they had like little computer speakers wired all throughout the distillery.
Do the same thing.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this isn't really doing shit to anything. Right. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, our partners at Myers Sound in Oakland, who basically create the PAs and create the volume, the weight, and the
sound,
the size of everything that we throw out. I guess from a sound and an audio perspective in concerts, they create special subwoofers for this, and so we've worked with them for years and years and years. They've done our PAs for a long time. They have done everything that we have over at HQ, and they're just great partners of ours, and they created special subwoofers. So this is the furthest thing from the little computer speakers that you're talking about, Seth. So it's kind of the other end of the spectrum here.
Thank God.
That's I picture like a barrel house, and then there's like people driving by like miles away, and they hear this faint noise, and someone's like, "Is that Metallica?" And they're like, yeah, I don't know. They're a couple miles down the road, they're just blasting me.
Well, here's one question: the blending and the music. So, what's the order of operation here? You blend, then you finish, then you play the music, or do you do any of those in a different order?
No. So the blend happens first. So we'll blend all the variety of barrels. Put them in the Black Brandy barrels, and at that point, that's when we are applying the black noise sonic enhancement kick-assery.
Got it.
Kick-assery. There you
go. Well said. Okay, so I want to focus back in on the Box 100 set for just a second. Tell us about what went into the box: the sticker, the badge, the pick, the little booklet it comes with, the record. Tell us about Batch 100, the gift set. What are people getting with this set that is driving, and not just to mention the actual whiskey itself, which exceptional. I get a lot of rye. I get a predominant rye flavor. What do you get? I
know. Well, so the thing is that Seth and I have gone back and forth on this one, because for me, I love the really nice bourbon sweetness, and I get a little bit of blackberry, maybe apricots, which I'm assuming is coming from the brandy barrel finish. It's not super rye forward for me, whereas Seth is just like, oh, I get rye all day. And I actually really like that, because, it's going to appeal to a very wide audience. Everybody's going to pick out something different. I think that's the brilliance of the blend itself.
I think you're getting a predominant rye forward, a predominant rye nose, and a bourbon sweetness. That's what I get. And I
got to tell you, I love these conversations. When I sit with my people or my crew or my friends, or sit in a with people, and it's like, hey, you guys want to try my whiskey or whatever. So we just and sort of kind of be the opposite here, but I guess I got to bring the rock and roll element to this. So the conversations often steer kind of in a different direction than what you were just saying, which people go, because they're always a bit skeptical. Like, yeah, here comes another, rock dude with, something, and people are very cynical and skeptical. And then I'll pour a little bit, and I go, you can kind of see that transformation. I know you've been through the hundreds of these yourself, Rob, and you and I have talked about we see that thing, and people kind of, they're skeptical. And then you can see like this kind of smile, and all of a sudden that skepticism kind of goes away. But where we always end up, and forgive me for taking the other side to this, is, it's just really fucking drinkable.
Yeah.
And it's everybody,
100%.
Everybody that I encounter just really enjoys how drinkable that word comes up. It's not like overly and I know I've sometimes I get myself in a little bit of hot water here, because I know that maybe I'm supposed to be more technical about it and all this, but still, I'm just me. But people really just like how sort of drinkable and welcoming, and some whiskeys and some different things can be maybe a little more challenging, and a little more like slightly sip it, or the taste stays with you a very long time, and there's many different paths. But this, just I can see people really respond to in the most basic ways, which is it's just really drinkable, and people really enjoy that. So often the conversation can go in the direction of breaking it down into, do we taste a little apricot and a little this and a little that? Okay. But often it's also, at 11 o'clock at night going, wow, this is great. This tastes
wow,
great.
I've had 4 glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, it's and to see that with the people that I end up doing this with, and again, none of it's particularly scientific, and I would maybe say that maybe more so than you guys and Rob, I end up in circles with less aficionados and more just sort of people, it's like, okay, some friends over, hey, you guys want to try my whiskey or the Metallica whiskey or whatever. But that conversation often just goes in that direction. But it's great to see people sort of like warm up to it, because I know some people expect it to be sort of like not great. And then they're going to maybe have to find a way to sort of, lie a little bit, or sort of, yeah, Lars, that tastes really good, or whatever. And it's just always great to see that smile on the face on their faces, right, Rob? When people realize that this is really something that works. And I get these texts back from, hey, where do I order some of that? Or how do I get more of that? Or, whatever. And it's just, it's a testament for me, obviously, coming from a different world, that what we're doing is connecting, again, going back to that word, which is really about connecting people to an experience,
I agree. I think to translate what you just said,
please do.
For the whiskey nerds watching this, is
right.
Balance.
Yeah,
is balance.
Very well blended, very well balanced, very drinkable.
Here.
Balance.
Look what I have on my desk. Here.
No, you got it. Don't do
that.
that.
We would never do that to you.
It's balanced. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like beautifully balanced, and the way to think of it is balanced, because ultimately there are whiskeys that you'll spend $200 or $300 or $400 or $500 for. And I actually did this on Saturday night, no joke. I poured a glass of a Bruichladdich. It was a single malt Scotch whiskey, highly peated, Islay, very, very pricey and rare, limited edition, blah, blah, blah. Guy couldn't finish it because it was so strong and so much chew on. It was very dense and very complex. And it's one of those things you add water to and you take your time with. It's one glass and that's it. This, you finish half a bottle with your friends at the cabin by the campfire, and you don't know where the fuck the time went. I mean, you're just
questionable.
There are moments where you require that whiskey. You need that whiskey. You need this, or you need something like this that is very.
I think the word, Seth, that you're looking for is well balanced.
Hey, do we have some Scotch tape for you, bud? Well, listen, guys, I know we only have you for a little while, and I want to be respectful of your time, but honestly,
I can hang out for a couple minutes. I mean,
okay, well, fair enough.
I'm enjoying this. I'll put the Scotch tape back on. Yes. No.
All good. One of the other questions, and we talked about the gift set, we talked about batch 100, the playlists, whatever it is, it makes a difference. I did find that batch 100 certainly was an elevated and worthwhile, extra for the fans of the band, as well as consumers of whiskey. I would spend the extra money on the batch 100 versus the 91, having tried both. There is a difference. The playlist is making a difference. If the inputs are all the same, if all the whiskey in and the aging and the time is the same, but the playlists are really creating a difference, then batch 100 is an example of that, because it really truly is of the ones I've tried, the 81, the 91, and the 100 is my favorite.
I will agree with that as well. It's
cool.
quite exceptional.
Yeah. So and you can of course go to caskcartel.com, find the batch 100 limited edition gift sets. If you're a fan and you don't own this, what are you doing? Go get it. Get out there. Go buy this
immediately.
And it's limited. I don't know how many more are left, but this podcast is airing in mid-July. But of course, find this and grab it, because 100 is awesome. I mean, it really goes that extra mile. It really, it's as you said, Lars,
coming back to it.
It's for all the people. It's for the people.
Tell us what hand you had in creating the actual box set and what goes into it.
Yep.
Well, it was important on this box set to let Rob, like I said before, that's right. There's your sticker right there, and there is your.
We're just arguing about what to put it on. I'm the one that plays guitar, so I get to keep the pick.
I used to play guitar.
So it was important for us to obviously let Rob run with the playlist, and so we supported him picking all the tracks. I sequenced them, but having other bits and bobs and trinkets in there, and one of the great people at Sweet Amber came up with the idea of having a fanzine in there, kind of an old school. Remember back in the day when you and your friends would get together and write your own thing about the bands that you liked or whatever was on your mind, and then you'd go down to Kinko's and staple 8 Xerox pages together and send them to 20 of your friends, pen pals, or pass them out at school or whatever. So there's a fanzine, a few of those trinkets that you just had out there, and obviously 12 songs like Rob talked about earlier that he selected from all across Metallica's I guess career, for lack of a better word. And I just think right now, and maybe more so right now than ever before, having the beverage, having the bottle, but also having stuff that you can kind of sit and look at. And to me, the whole thing is really about trying to have an interactive experience. And so with the earlier batches, if you go on the website and figure out, what batch you're drinking connects to what particular playlist and so on, you can kind of just sort of involve yourself in what's going on. And I think, like we talked about so many times before, for us, a big part of everything that Metallica does is really just about connecting to each other. I think it's the most basic of human traits. Is just wanting to connect to other people or connect to an experience. And that's what that's kind of our motivating force whenever we do any of these projects.
Well, and I think that's actually a really fantastic segue, because I did, and speaking about connecting with people, I really wanted to ask you guys about your foundation, the All Within My Hands Foundation. So I know this isn't maybe directly whiskey related, but I do think that anybody that's checking out this podcast, if they don't already know about the foundation, I'd love for you guys to speak a little bit about, what you guys are doing on that front.
Yeah.
Again, about, I guess, 4 years ago now, when we started this cycle on this album in 2016 with the Hardwired Self-Destruct album, we just felt that it was time to maybe be a little more vocal and go public with our giving back incentives. We've been doing quite a bit of stuff in Metallica under the radar for years, but we were, I guess, a little more, what's the right word, maybe cynical of standing on a soapbox and talking about all the great stuff that we were doing, because sometimes it could feel just very selfish, or look how cool we are, and we're sort of just patting ourselves on the back. But in the age of social media, and in the age of obviously internet and how information travels nowadays, we feel that we could sort of use all these different channels to encourage people to join us, really. So we started the foundation about 4 years ago, and we take $2 or €2 from every concert ticket that is bought, and we put into the foundation. And then we have fundraisers and encourage people to support in any way they can, obviously, at any level. And so we try to be very transparent in what we do. 100% of every dollar that comes in goes back out. Metallica contributes all the fees and all the labor and the practical. So every dollar that comes in, 100% of it goes back out, and we're proud of that. And we support primarily sort of food banks and anything that has to do with local communities and feeding people in local communities. And then we support education, particularly more blue collar education, community colleges and so on, trying to find, obviously there are a lot of our peers and a lot of great organizations out there that do incredible stuff. So it's for us, it's about trying to find a niche where maybe there's not too much attention from others. And we found that blue collar, sort of the blue collar workforce and education and kind of sort of local community colleges and stuff in that vein maybe doesn't get as much love as it deserves. So we park a lot of our money there. And like I said, we help a lot with food banks and bigger organizations like Feeding America and so on. And obviously, since March in the new pandemic era, we're supporting a lot of, our friends at Live Nation have an organization called Crew Nation that supports all the infrastructure of the rock and roll world that's, unfortunately out of work now. Yeah. And we're also helping out with an organization that supports bartenders and so on that are obviously also falling on hard times in terms of what it's looking like out there in the wake of the pandemic. So we're doing what we can, and we try to support as much as we can without being overly self-patting on the back. And if you want to contribute, then go to allwithinmyhands.whatever it is, org. I should know this stuff.
Don't worry, we'll put a link.
That's close enough.
We'll link to it.
We'll link to it. Anybody that's interested in finding out more.
I'll bring the Scotch tape back here any second.
No. When you're talking about good causes, you should be able to go on forever about that. That's totally. We're really happy that you guys are supporting these things.
Thank you.
No, it sounds more poignant than ever, and I think really the only way to kind of wrap up the show today is, what does the future hold for Blackened?
Yeah, what's next for you guys?
A little bit from both of you guys on what the future holds.
Rob Dietrich.
Yeah,
what does the future hold?
Lars, you got to send me a drum roll and we'll put it in the edit.
We, what's exciting is that we literally are just scratching the surface. I mean, with just all the great ideas that have already culminated into, something incredible already. This is just the beginning. We got some fun stuff coming up. We got, not really giving anything away, but, next year, Metallica does turn 40, so it might be something special coming out. So
okay,
there are a lot of fun things coming out. And
I turned 40. Wait, the band turns 40. I always get those confused. That means
I'm actually turning 50 the same month.
Just to be able to turn 50. Anyway, we definitely have some fun things in mind and working on some great things, and obviously in due time we look forward to sharing them with everybody.
Can't wait.
Sure. Hey, maybe we'll have you guys on for round 2 or something.
Hell yeah.
If you will have us back, maybe we can share with your audience out there that through the magic of Zoom in 2020, we're all connected here from various parts of the world, from Southern California, Northern California, and Kentucky. But at the same time, through the magic of Zoom, somebody programmed in the end time. So this is round 2.
No, it's fantastic.
No worries. No, you guys, honestly, this has been absolutely incredible. I just have to mention on air that have you seen Metallica live?
I have not seen them live, but I have been listening to Metallica since before I care to admit. My father would be very upset if he knew the age I started listening to Metallica at.
Yeah.
And I think that tells both of you how old we are, which unfortunately...
My concert was sadly later than I wanted it to be, but it was 2017 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
Oh, wow. That was an incredible...
yes, it was.
Incredible day. And obviously, even though we call ourselves a San Francisco-based band and are very proud of our Northern California roots and so on, we should give a shout out to Southern California, because the band was formed in Southern California. The first almost 2 years we were I was down in Orange County. James was up in Norwalk, and so obviously we did have a little time in Southern California. So to be able to play at the Rose Bowl and sell that out and have an experience like that. We played there a couple times before, but it just, I guess as you sort of get further into your journey, maybe when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're so full of spunk and just trying to sort of like, you never slow down long enough to take any of it in. But when you get to be slightly older than your 20s and your 30s, then you pause and sit there and you go, holy shit, you know, the Rose Bowl, there's 75,000 people here, whatever the number is. And you just sort of take it in and you kind of harness and go, isn't it incredible that music can bring people together, still brings people together, and that and that hard rock still has a way to connect so many people, and especially so many younger people that have been coming out for obviously the last 3 or 4 years on this last tour and so on. So we're very appreciative and fortunate to still be able to do that. And I will lastly say, before I put the tape back in my mouth, that there's no in a conversation about whether you've seen Metallica or you haven't, or whether you were late to the party, there's no right or wrong in that. There's no judging. There are no, we hear ourselves say all the time that there are no better fans than others. So whether you've seen Metallica 0 or once or 200 times, everybody's welcome. And I guess to quote, what is it, Blazing Saddles, everybody's equal in my eye. And so we're happy that you've seen us, and Seth, come join the party whenever we're in your hood.
Don't judge me by my live performances. I've seen so few
no
concerts.
Judgment
It
whatsoever.
makes me, it's horribly sad how few concerts I've been to.
That's okay.
But
hopefully we'll fix that in some point.
Hours I've spent in the car driving from place to place in my life, and the amount of hours I spent listening to Metallica is probably
Enter Sandman was one of the first riffs I learned on guitar, man. Like,
exactly.
For sure.
I learned Fade to Black.
Incredible.
I played it in the 8th grade. I was playing Fade to Black in the 8th grade. No joke.
There you go.
Which
I can tell you that
also tells you how old I am, which is fucked up.
When we get back to playing again, which obviously can't be fucking soon enough, then we look forward to welcoming you into the Metallica world with red carpet.
I would like nothing more than to see this live, to go out of the office or the house or anything, man. Oh my God,
be great.
I'll take anything.
Well, there is a song dedicated to your car Metallica days on there. So I dedicated a lot of the songs that, and there was one, I think I was talking about how you know, all the dashboard drumming, you know, in your car. That I dedicated one of those songs to that.
Oh, that steering wheel. I think my wedding ring has like dented my steering wheel from all the banging on the thing. Right. I drive to Vegas 3 times a month basically, so it's nonstop. But anyways, man, you have influenced, I think, both of our lives with your music, Lars, you know, in ways that you probably can't even imagine or know. And I think that goes for a lot of my friends and people I know closely.
You know, Rob is taking some big reins, some big shoes to fill, and seriously doing a fantastic job. So,
and Rob, your whiskey is influenced. You can't see it, but just like 10 feet to the left of us is a wall of 800 bottles of whiskey that you guys aren't seeing. We'll flip it over after the show, but your whiskey has influenced a lot of who I am today. And I wouldn't be the spirits aficionado I consider myself if it weren't for bottles like Stranahan, or, you know, for Dave, who can't listen, but Whistle Pig and other, you know, Maker's Mark. These are brands that built the palate that we both have, and a lot of people listening have. And so, you know, we're forever grateful to everything.
And culminating all the way down into Blackened Whiskey, which is
Blackened,
cool.
And
right here.
And today you guys are continuing what both the music and the whiskey have done for the world, and you're putting it all together into one bottle. I don't think there's anything greater than what this stands for. And quite honestly, as Lars said, it's an easy drink. It's a great drink. It's something you can drink a lot of. It's balanced. And so therefore, I highly recommend this to anyone that wants something that they can just knock back many, many, many glasses.
And there will be a link directly to both the bottle and the box set. In the show notes. We'll link it directly to Cask Cartel.
Yep.
And so anybody that is interested can come check it out for sure.
Oh yeah.
So,
Excellent.
anyway, we just really want to thank you guys for your time and hopping on with us. And it's been an absolute blast.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for the hospitality.
Yeah.
Take care.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you later.
Guys, if you like what you've heard here, head on over to Cask Cartel to check out the Batch 100 box set, one of the only places on the entire internet you can get the full package. Also, check out our box opening video of exactly what goes into the set on our social media at Cartel Hour, where you should definitely follow since we just had a huge giveaway featuring Blackened Whiskey along with Blanton's Gold and others. As always, the Cartel Hour is the only place to find celebrity guests, master distillers, and industry veterans to chat about the latest in the spirits world. Remember to always enjoy responsibly and in good rockin' company.
Going on, you see, to obscurity, death and mother.